The evening air in Portland carried a familiar chill, one that wrapped around me like a heavy blanket as I stood by the kitchen window. Outside, the last remnants of daylight faded, giving way to the soft glow of streetlights and the distant sounds of laughter from a nearby festival. I watched my husband, Mark, absorbed in his laptop at the dining table, his focus unwavering. He had been working late more often than not, lost in emails and deadlines. I felt like a ghost in my own home, drifting through rooms filled with memories but lacking any real connection. "Are you coming?" he asked without looking up, his voice barely breaking through the haze of my thoughts. "Soon," I replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. The truth was, I wasn't sure if I wanted to join him at all. As if on cue, the lights flickered and then went out entirely. The sudden darkness enveloped us, plunging the house into an unexpected silence. My heart raced for a moment before settling into an odd sense of calm. The hum of everyday life faded away, leaving only the sound of our breathing. "Great," Mark muttered under his breath as he fumbled for his phone to use as a flashlight. Another blackout. I felt a strange thrill at the darkness wrapping around us like a shroud. It was as if it had created a barrier between us and the outside world, a momentary escape from our routine lives. "Do you have any candles?" I asked quietly. "Somewhere," he replied dismissively, still squinting at his phone screen. I decided to take matters into my own hands and searched through drawers until I found an old box of candles tucked away in the back. As I lit them one by one, their flickering flames cast dancing shadows on the walls, transforming our home into something almost magical. I glanced over at my son, Jake. He had just returned from college for the summer and was sitting on the couch across from me. The soft light illuminated his face in a way that made him look younger than his 20 years. He seemed to be lost in thought as well, perhaps contemplating his own future or reflecting on how quickly time had passed since he was just a boy. "Want to join me?" I asked softly. He nodded slowly and moved closer to where I sat on the floor amidst scattered pillows. As we settled into this unexpected togetherness, an intimacy began to form in that dimly lit room, one that felt both comforting and unsettling. "What's it like being back home?" I asked him, hoping to bridge some gap that had widened over time. "It's different," he said thoughtfully. "Everything feels smaller now." I chuckled lightly because it was true, our house felt smaller after years away at school. But it was more than just space, it was about connection and how easily life could drift apart when left unchecked. "I miss those days when we used to play board games together," I said wistfully. Jake smiled faintly at that memory, those evenings spent laughing over Monopoly or Scrabble while Mark worked late hours or disappeared into his study for weeks on end. "I miss them too," he admitted quietly. The atmosphere shifted as we shared stories from our past, moments filled with laughter laced with nostalgia and longing for simpler times when our family felt whole. Each word drew us closer together as if weaving an invisible thread between us amid the shadows flickering around us. Then came an unexpected moment, a silence that hung heavy between us before Jake spoke again. "It's weird being back home after everything." "What do you mean?" My curiosity piqued despite myself. There was something deeper beneath those words. "I feel like everyone expects me to be someone I'm not," he confessed with vulnerability shining through his eyes. "Like they want me to fit into this mold." I understood all too well what he meant. Expectations could be suffocating, especially within families where love often masked unspoken truths. Suddenly aware of how close we were sitting together now, our knees almost touching, I felt warmth spread through me despite everything else weighing down my heart like lead. In that moment of shared understanding, a bond forged by unfulfilled desires, I found myself leaning toward him slightly. It was instinctual yet terrifying all at once, as if drawn by some unseen force pulling us closer together against all reason. Then came another shift, the kind that changes everything without warning. As our lips met briefly, a fleeting brush against each other filled with confusion yet undeniable need for connection amidst all this chaos surrounding us both. The world outside continued its dance beneath darkened skies while inside our hearts raced wildly against societal norms. The boundaries we never thought would blur suddenly fading into shadows cast by candlelight illuminating parts of ourselves long hidden away beneath layers built over years spent suppressing emotions deemed inappropriate or taboo even among family members who should know better than anyone else what lies within their heart's depths. But just as quickly as it began, it ended, with Jake pulling back abruptly, confusion clouding his expression mirrored mine perfectly. What had just happened? Was it real? Did we cross some line neither of us knew existed until now? He stood up abruptly breaking whatever spell lingered between us before retreating towards his room leaving me alone amidst flickering flames illuminating shadows dancing across walls filled with memories both cherished yet painful, all reminding me how fragile human connections can be especially when faced with isolation threatening to tear them apart piece by piece until nothing remains but echoes lost within darkness surrounding our lives once filled with love now overshadowed by loneliness. Creeping steadily closer each day passing without acknowledgement or recognition from those who should care most deeply about one another's heart's desires even when society dictates otherwise. And so here I sat alone once again surrounded only by flickering candlelight casting long shadows across walls whispering secrets long kept hidden beneath layers built over years spent avoiding uncomfortable truths lurking just beneath surface waiting patiently, until darkness finally fell allowing them freedom they craved desperately yet feared deeply. The darkness wrapped around us like a thick blanket, the flickering candlelight casting warm shadows that danced on the walls. I could still feel the weight of his presence lingering in the air, a palpable energy that seemed to thrum with unspoken words. My heart raced, caught between the thrill of our connection and the guilt gnawing at my insides. "Do you remember when we used to play hide and seek in the backyard?" he asked, breaking the silence that had settled between us. His voice was soft, almost hesitant, as if he were testing the waters of our newfound intimacy. I nodded, a smile creeping onto my face despite myself. "You always hid behind the big oak tree. I could never find you." The memory flooded back vividly, the laughter, the sunlight filtering through leaves, and his youthful exuberance. It felt like a lifetime ago. He leaned closer, his eyes reflecting the candlelight as he searched my face for something, understanding, perhaps. "I miss those days," he said quietly. "Things were simpler then." A pang of sadness struck me at his words. How had we come to this point? I had spent years trying to create a life filled with joy and connection for him and his siblings, yet here we were, sharing secrets in a dimly lit room while everything else felt so far away. "We should have more moments like this," I suggested lightly, trying to deflect from the tension building between us. But deep down, I knew that this was different. It was more than just reminiscing about childhood memories. He chuckled softly, but there was a hint of something deeper in his laughter, a longing that echoed my own. "Yeah. Just us against the world." As we shared stories from our past, moments that felt both distant and achingly close, I couldn't help but notice how easily our conversation flowed. The barriers built over years seemed to dissolve in this cocoon of darkness and candlelight. I found myself leaning in closer as he spoke about his recent struggles at school and friendships lost in a whirlwind of teenage drama. "I feel so alone sometimes," he admitted after a pause, vulnerability spilling from him like ink on paper. "No one really understands what I'm going through." His confession struck a chord within me. It mirrored my own feelings of isolation in my marriage, a sense of being unheard and unseen by those who were supposed to know me best. It was as if we were two ships adrift in separate seas yet drawn together by an invisible tether. "I understand," I replied softly, searching for words that would convey empathy without crossing an unspoken line. "It's hard when you feel like no one is listening." In that moment, something shifted between us, a current charged with unspoken desires and fears swirling beneath the surface of our conversation. The flickering flames cast shadows that seemed to pulse with intensity as we locked eyes, an electric connection simmered just out of reach. And then it happened, an impulsive act fueled by desperation for connection and understanding. Our lips met briefly in an unexpected kiss that shattered all boundaries I thought existed between us. Time slowed as I registered what had just transpired. Warmth spread through me while fear gripped my heart tightly. What was that?" he stammered after pulling away slightly, confusion etched across his features. "I don't know," I replied breathlessly, trying to regain my composure while inwardly grappling with what this meant for both of us. The room fell silent again as we processed what had just occurred, the thrill mingled with dread hanging heavy in the air like smoke from extinguished candles. Guilt washed over me like cold water. How could I let this happen? Was it merely an accident born out of loneliness? The weight of reality crashed back down around us as I struggled to find words that would mend what felt broken yet inexplicably beautiful at once, a moment suspended between innocence and transgression. "Maybe we should talk about it," he finally suggested tentatively after what felt like hours spent lost within our thoughts. "Yes, maybe." The words slipped from my lips before I could think better of it. Deep down inside me lay an undeniable yearning for more moments like this, even if they threatened everything else around us. As dawn crept closer outside our window, shadows giving way to light, I recognized how fragile this newfound connection truly was but couldn't shake off its intoxicating allure either. We shared more stories until exhaustion began pulling at my eyelids. Every laugh echoed against walls steeped with memories both cherished yet painful. Reminders of how easily human connections could fray when faced with isolation threatening to tear them apart piece by piece until nothing remained but echoes lost within darkness surrounding our lives once filled with love now overshadowed by loneliness creeping steadily closer each day passing without acknowledgement or recognition from those who should care most deeply about one another's heart's desires even when society dictates otherwise. Eventually, fatigue took hold as sleep beckoned me away from thoughts swirling chaotically within my mind. Drifting into slumber felt both comforting yet terrifying, the uncertainty looming over everything left unresolved nagging insistently at my consciousness until finally surrendering completely. Morning light filtered through cracks in curtains when I awoke alone once again surrounded only by remnants left behind. Half-burned candles casting long shadows across walls whispering secrets long kept hidden beneath layers built over years spent avoiding uncomfortable truths lurking just beneath surface waiting patiently until darkness finally fell allowing them freedom they craved, desperately yet feared deeply. I glanced around searching for signs he'd left behind, a trace indicating where he'd gone, but found nothing except silence echoing through empty rooms where laughter once rang out freely now replaced by emptiness stretching endlessly before me like an uncharted sea devoid of direction or purpose. That's when something caught my eye, a small piece of paper resting atop my bedside table illuminated faintly by morning sun streaming through window panes revealing its delicate lines etched carefully upon its surface. A drawing depicting our intimate moment captured forever within strokes made by hands trembling slightly under pressure created not just from art but emotions intertwined deeply beneath layers hidden away too long waiting patiently until now. Staring at it brought forth conflicting emotions swirling inside me, joy mingling dangerously close alongside guilt threatening to consume everything whole if left unchecked spiraling further into chaos without reprieve or resolution offered anywhere nearby. As I traced its contours gently with trembling fingers feeling warmth radiate from where ink met paper while memories flooded back vividly once again, I couldn't help but wonder whether this moment marked beginning or end. The candlelight flickered, casting shadows across the room, and I found myself staring at the drawing he had left behind. The soft lines depicted not only our moment but also the vulnerability that had unfolded between us. Each stroke of his pencil seemed to capture a fragment of our shared secrets, emotions laid bare on paper. The intimacy of that night lingered in the air, heavy and palpable, while my heart raced with a mix of longing and dread. I sank into the couch, clutching the drawing tightly. My thoughts spiraled back to our conversation before sleep had claimed us. He had shared a secret that resonated deeply within me, a fear of never being enough, of always being overshadowed by expectations. "I feel like I'm just drifting," he had said quietly, his eyes reflecting a sadness I recognized all too well. In that moment, we were two lost souls searching for connection in a world that often felt isolating. The weight of societal judgment pressed down on me like an anchor. What would people think if they knew? The very thought made my stomach churn. Mothers were supposed to protect their children from harm, not entangle them in emotional complexities. Yet here I was, standing on the precipice of something forbidden, grappling with feelings I couldn't fully comprehend. I closed my eyes and tried to push away the guilt threatening to consume me. Our lips met in a moment so unexpected it shattered every preconceived notion I held about love and boundaries. It was as if time suspended itself for just an instant. The world outside faded away, leaving only the two of us enveloped in warmth and understanding. But now, as dawn approached and reality crept back in, I felt the enormity of what we had done begin to settle over me like a heavy fog. Outside, the sounds of Portland waking up filled the air, birds chirping softly and distant traffic humming along familiar routes. Life continued as usual for everyone else while my heart remained tangled in a web of confusion and regret. How could I reconcile this newfound bond with my responsibilities as a mother? The thought gnawed at me relentlessly. I glanced at my phone. It was still early enough that no one would be awake yet. The house was silent except for the soft rustle of leaves outside as a gentle breeze swept through the neighborhood. My husband would soon rise for work, oblivious to the turmoil swirling within me. I couldn't shake off the feeling that what we shared was more than just an escape. It was an awakening, a revelation about how lonely I truly felt in my marriage. My husband's indifference had created an emotional chasm between us that seemed impossible to bridge. In seeking solace from my son, had I unwittingly crossed a line that could never be uncrossed? The drawing lay before me like an unspoken promise, a reminder of our connection but also a testament to my betrayal. What would happen when morning light illuminated everything we had hidden away in shadows? Would he regret what transpired? Would I? Just then, I heard footsteps approaching down the hallway, the familiar sound pulling me back into reality with startling clarity. Panic surged through me as I hastily tucked away the drawing beneath some magazines on the coffee table, attempting to mask its significance under layers of mundane distractions. "Morning," my husband mumbled as he entered the room, his voice thick with sleep and disinterest. "Good morning," I replied evenly, forcing a smile as if nothing were amiss. He poured himself coffee without looking up from his phone screen, a ritual so commonplace it felt almost comforting amidst my chaos yet painfully isolating all at once. As he shuffled off towards his office space without another word or glance in my direction, I couldn't help but feel invisible, like a ghost haunting this house we once called home together. After he left for work, silence enveloped me again like a suffocating blanket. It became increasingly difficult to breathe under its weight. Thoughts spiraled back to him, my son, and all those moments we shared during that blackout, laughter mingling with whispers exchanged under candlelight now transformed into something darker within daylight's harsh gaze. I picked up my phone again after several minutes spent wrestling with myself over whether to reach out or not. Hesitation gripped me tightly until finally pressing send felt like stepping off a cliff into unknown waters below. "Can we talk?" It was simple yet loaded with implications. My heart raced at what his response might be. Moments stretched endlessly until finally, vibration broke through stillness. "Sure." Just one word sent electricity coursing through me despite its simplicity. Anticipation mixed with anxiety danced dangerously close together within every fiber of my being. We agreed to meet at our favorite cafe later that afternoon, a place filled with rich aromas where laughter lingered among patrons sipping their drinks while life continued around us unfazed by our struggles beneath its surface. As time dragged on toward our rendezvous point later that day, each tick echoing louder than before, I couldn't shake off how much everything had changed since that fateful night when darkness enveloped us both entirely. When I finally arrived at the cafe adorned with vibrant colors reflecting Portland's spirit brightly against gray skies overhead, it felt surreal walking through those doors knowing what lay ahead yet feeling trapped between two worlds. One filled with familial love intertwined uncomfortably alongside newfound desires threatening everything familiar around me. He was already seated at our usual spot by window light filtering through gently illuminating his features while casting soft shadows across his face, a contrast so stark against everything else outside bustling around us unaware. "Hey," he greeted softly as though testing waters between us, cautiously still holding on to remnants from last night lingering heavily like ghosts refusing to let go completely. "Hey," I managed back, feeling suddenly vulnerable under scrutiny even amidst familiarity surrounding us both. "I got your message," he said quietly, eyes searching mine for answers neither knew how to articulate just yet. "I think we need to talk about." My voice faltered momentarily, searching for words capable enough bridging gap formed overnight between innocence lost versus complicated emotions surfacing unexpectedly, now threatening lives built upon trust carefully constructed over years past. But before any further words could escape lips, the door swung open, allowing bright sunlight streaming inside, illuminating everything around us even more vividly than before, causing momentary distraction, pulling attention away momentarily from deeper matters lurking beneath surface. As patrons milled about, joyfully laughing and chatting over steaming cups filled with warmth, my gaze drifted past them, briefly catching sight of something unexpected. There stood someone familiar lurking just outside, peering inside, watching intently. My breath caught sharply upon recognizing who it was standing there, framed against backdrop bustling cafe scene unfolding behind him, a figure whose presence sent chills racing down spine, igniting feelings long buried deep within heart resurfacing suddenly unbidden. It was him, the artist behind Drawing Left Behind after everything transpired during blackout nights spent together, intimately entwined, forever marking history written silently between us without anyone else knowing. The morning light streamed through the window, illuminating the remnants of the night that had changed everything. I blinked against the brightness, confusion swirling in my mind as reality settled in. The warmth of his presence lingered in the air, yet he was gone, leaving behind only a whisper of what had transpired. The weight of our actions pressed heavily on my chest, a tangible reminder of the line we had crossed. I shuffled through the house, each creak of the floorboards echoing my turmoil. The silence felt deafening without his laughter and the shared secrets we had exchanged in the dark. I made my way to the kitchen, seeking solace in routine, a cup of coffee to ground me amid the chaos of emotions. As I reached for the coffee pot, something on the table caught my eye. There it was, a drawing he had left behind. My heart raced as I picked it up, tracing my fingers over the lines and shadows that depicted our intimate moment. The strokes were raw and unrefined but captured a depth that words could never express. In that image, I saw us, our connection laid bare, unguarded and vulnerable. It was beautiful yet haunting, a testament to what we had shared and what I now feared losing. I sank into a chair, staring at the drawing as if it held answers to questions I couldn't yet articulate. Memories flooded back, his laughter mingling with mine under flickering candlelight, whispers exchanged like fragile promises in darkness, moments when time stood still and nothing else mattered but us. We spent the night together, echoed in my mind like a relentless drumbeat, each repetition amplifying my guilt. What had compelled me to embrace this forbidden connection? My marriage felt like a distant memory, a hollow shell devoid of warmth or understanding. My husband was consumed by work, his absence left me yearning for something more substantial than mere existence. But this was different. It felt alive yet fraught with peril. The drawing slipped from my fingers onto the table as I buried my face in my hands. What would people think? What would he think if he knew how deeply this affected me? Would he understand that it wasn't just lust or rebellion but an emotional bond formed out of desperation? Each question spiraled into another until they all collided into one overwhelming truth: I was lost. A knock at the door jolted me from my reverie. My heart raced again. Was it him? The thought sent shivers down my spine mixed with dread and anticipation alike. I hesitated before standing up and smoothing down my clothes as if they could somehow mask what lay beneath. Opening the door revealed not him but an unexpected visitor. My husband stood there with his usual air of distraction overshadowed by something else today, concern etched on his face. "Hey," he said softly, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "Hi," I replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. He glanced around our home, the same home we had built together, before settling his gaze back on me. "I wanted to check on you after last night's storm." "Everything's fine," I assured him too quickly, feeling guilt clawing at me again for lying so easily. "Are you sure?" His brow furrowed slightly as though sensing something amiss beneath surface calmness. "I'm just tired," I offered weakly while avoiding his eyes. They seemed to pierce through facades effortlessly today. He nodded slowly but didn't seem convinced, instead shifting uncomfortably on his feet like someone caught off guard by unexpected truths lingering just out of reach between us both. "I'll make some coffee," I suggested hastily before retreating toward kitchen area where memories both sweet and bitter awaited me silently alongside that drawing, still resting there ominously watching over everything unfolding around us now. As I brewed coffee, thoughts raced through my mind, a cacophony of doubt mingled with desire for clarity amid chaos surrounding me lately since blackout night began unraveling threads holding life together tightly until then. Moments later he joined me at table where steaming mugs awaited us both ready for conversation even though silence hung thick between breaths taken in anticipation instead. "You've been distant lately," he finally spoke, breaking tension hanging heavy above us both like storm clouds threatening rain again any moment now. "Is something bothering you?" I opened my mouth intending to respond but faltered instead, feeling words slip away from grasp like sand running through fingers, unable to hold on to anything solid anymore. "I'm fine," came out more defensively than intended, leaving him looking unconvinced still while struggling against urge wanting desperately tell him truth hidden deep inside, heart aching louder than ever before now. "You know you can talk to me about anything, right?" He pressed gently, leaning forward slightly, showing earnestness reflected within those familiar brown eyes searching mine, desperately seeking connection lost somewhere along way between life lived together so long ago now. But how could I explain this new reality? How could I voice feelings tangled up inside where love twisted into betrayal without breaking everything apart completely? "I appreciate that," was all managed muster, offering him small smile hoping it would suffice while feeling guilt gnawing away relentlessly, still refusing let go even momentarily. After sipping our coffees in silence filled only by soft sounds surrounding us outside, birds chirping nearby mixed with rustled leaves dancing gently upon breeze wafting through open window bringing fresh air along too, reminding me life continued moving forward regardless past choices made. Yet despite efforts maintaining facade normalcy, thoughts kept drifting back toward drawing left behind earlier, haunting every moment spent here now, reminding me stark contrast between past present looming large overhead, casting shadows across everything witnessed thus far. Finally breaking silence again, he asked quietly, "Did something happen last night during storm?" His tone shifted subtly, revealing undertones deeper than casual inquiry alone, suggesting deeper concerns underlying surface interactions shared over years spent together side by side. Panic surged within as realization dawned upon, realizing how close truth rested upon cusp, ready spill forth if not careful enough, steer conversation elsewhere, quickly divert attention away from precarious edge, threatening plunge into unknown depths below. "No," came out too fast again, betraying intentions hiding beneath surface calmness, once more revealing cracks forming underneath layer protective shield erected long ago, shielding vulnerability hidden safely away behind walls built strong enough withstand storms raging outside, world beyond familiar confines surrounding us here today. He studied me intently, searching for answers hidden somewhere behind guarded expressions worn regularly throughout years, navigating complexities, marriage woven intricately together, though frayed edges began showing signs, weariness creeping slowly within fabric. Binding lives intertwined deeply over time spent together, building memories shared, celebrating joys, faced adversities, endured hand in hand, facing challenges thrown our way, always finding strength within each other, somehow making it through thick thin alike, no matter what happened next. But could we survive this? With thoughts spinning round and round inside head, struggling maintain composure amidst turmoil brewing beneath surface, threatening spill over any moment now, forcing confrontations arise despite best efforts, suppress emotions rising high within heart, yearning release, desperate need clarity amidst chaos surrounding everything, unfolding before eyes wide open, witnessing reality shift dramatically right before very own sight, leaving nothing unchanged forevermore. And just then realization hit hard once more. Nothing would ever be same again, no matter how much wished otherwise, wishing things could turn back, clock rewind, time erase moments lived, fully aware consequences looming large ahead, casting shadows, hearts burdened, heavy weight, choices made lingering long after lights faded into darkness, enveloping whole world around us last night, leaving indelible mark etched forever deep within soul itself, reminding constantly fragility, love, loyalty, trust built painstakingly over years spent, nurturing bonds forged strong enough withstand storms life throws way, yet somehow faltering under pressures unseen until now revealed starkly clear, laying bare truths previously hidden safe away, locked deep inside hearts, longing connection lost somewhere along journey taken thus far. The morning light crept through the curtains, illuminating the remnants of last night's chaos. I sat on the edge of my bed, the drawing he left behind resting in my lap. A simple sketch, yet it captured everything, our shared moments, the unspoken connection that had formed between us. Each line seemed to pulse with emotion, reminding me of what we had done and what I had lost. I could hear my husband moving around downstairs, his footsteps heavy with the weight of routine. He was preparing for another day at work, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing within me. The contrast between our lives felt jarring. How could he continue to go about his day as if nothing had changed? My heart raced at the thought of confronting him, but I knew I had to face reality sooner rather than later. With a deep breath, I stood up and walked toward the bathroom. The reflection staring back at me was a stranger, someone burdened by secrets and guilt. I splashed cold water on my face, attempting to wash away the remnants of last night's intimacy. But no amount of water could cleanse me of those feelings. "Are you okay?" My husband's voice broke through my thoughts as he entered the bathroom. His brow furrowed with concern. "Just tired," I replied, forcing a smile that felt foreign on my lips. He nodded and stepped back, leaving me alone again. As I finished getting ready for the day, thoughts of my son invaded every corner of my mind. How could I return to normalcy when everything felt so altered? The weight of our actions pressed down on me like an anchor, pulling me into murky depths. After breakfast, as he headed out the door with a brief goodbye kiss on my cheek, a sense of dread washed over me. What would happen if he found out? Would he understand? Or would this destroy everything we had built together over years? The questions spiraled endlessly in my mind as I watched him drive away. I needed to distract myself from these thoughts. A trip to my favorite coffee shop seemed like a good idea, a place filled with familiar faces and comforting aromas that might ease my turmoil. As I walked through Portland's streets, vibrant murals and lively chatter surrounded me, yet none of it pierced through the fog enveloping my heart. Ordering a cappuccino felt mechanical. Each sip tasted bitter against the backdrop of sweet memories now tainted by guilt. My friend Mary spotted me from across the room and waved enthusiastically as she approached. "Hey! You look a bit out of it," she said lightly as she took a seat opposite me. "I'm fine," I replied too quickly. Mary studied me for a moment before continuing with her usual cheerfulness. "Have you heard about the festival this weekend? It should be fun. Live music and all that." The mention of the festival stirred something deep within, a reminder of happier times spent together with family and friends before life became complicated by unspoken desires and emotional isolation. "Yeah, sounds nice," I managed to say while forcing an upbeat tone that barely masked my inner turmoil. "You should come. It'll be good for you," she encouraged while sipping her coffee. I nodded absently but couldn't shake off how much everything felt different now, how even simple outings seemed tinged with shadows from last night's revelations. As we chatted about mundane things, upcoming events and mutual friends, I couldn't help but feel disconnected from her words. My mind drifted back to him, every laugh echoed memories shared in candlelight during our secret moments together, the warmth that enveloped us amidst darkness now hauntingly absent in reality's glare. After parting ways with Mary, I wandered back home slowly, each step heavy with anticipation mixed with dread. Would he be there when I arrived? What would happen if we crossed paths again? The house was eerily quiet when I stepped inside. No sign of life greeted me except for echoes reverberating off walls filled with memories now tainted by betrayal. As minutes turned into hours without any sign from him or even a call from his father checking in on how things were going at home, anxiety gnawed at me relentlessly like an insatiable beast craving attention. Just when despair threatened to overwhelm me completely, my phone buzzed unexpectedly against its surface, startlingly loud in silence surrounding. It was a message from him. "Can we talk?" My heart raced again, confusion swirled within as emotions clashed violently. The thrill mingled dangerously alongside fear, nagging insistently at edges, urging caution where none existed before, now casting doubt upon everything previously taken for granted among family bonds forged strong enough withstand storms yet somehow faltering under pressures unseen until revealed starkly clear, laying bare truths previously hidden safe away, locked deep inside hearts, longing connection lost somewhere along journey taken thus far. Taking a deep breath, I texted back, "Yes." Moments later came another message, "Meet me at our spot?" A chill ran down my spine. Our spot held memories both beautiful and painful. The park bench overlooking the river where we'd shared stories long before last night's chaos unfolded into something far more complicated than either one could have anticipated entering into, willingly or otherwise. As twilight approached, casting golden hues across sky, turning darker shades slowly creeping forth, signaling end day, beginning another chapter perhaps more tumultuous than any previous one faced thus far. I arrived at our spot feeling vulnerable yet determined, a collision course set between love intertwined tightly within familial bonds, fraying dangerously close, unraveling completely unless confronted head-on. And there he was, waiting patiently against backdrop nature, unfurling its beauty, unaware turmoil brewing deep beneath surface, threatening everything held dear. "Hey," he greeted softly as his eyes met mine, searching, seeking understanding, perhaps even forgiveness lingering just beyond reach, elusive like shadows dancing around us, caught between light dark, struggling define boundaries, blurred lines drawn previously clear now uncertain. Fracturing under pressure, pushing limits explored only fleeting moments before fading into obscurity, leaving lingering questions unanswered, hanging heavy air, thick tension palpable surrounding two hearts bound by blood yet torn apart by choices made recklessly without thought, consequences looming large ahead, casting shadows, hearts burdened heavy weight, choices made lingering long after lights faded into darkness, enveloping whole world around us last night, leaving indelible mark etched forever deep within soul itself, reminding constantly fragility, love, loyalty, trust built painstakingly over years spent, nurturing bonds forged strong enough withstand storms life throws way, yet somehow faltering under pressures unseen until now revealed starkly clear, laying bare truths previously hidden safe away, locked deep inside hearts, longing connection lost somewhere along journey taken thus far. The streets of Portland were alive with the sounds of laughter and chatter, but I felt none of it. My heart was heavy, weighed down by choices that lingered like shadows in the corners of my mind. I walked through the park, the air thick with the scent of blooming flowers, yet all I could think about was the drawing he left behind. A simple sketch that captured something profound between us, something I couldn't quite name. As I turned a corner, I spotted an old friend sitting on a bench. Her eyes lit up when she saw me, but there was an instinctual wariness in her gaze. She had always been perceptive, able to sense when something was off. I hesitated before approaching, unsure if I wanted to share the turmoil swirling within me. "Hey. Long time no see," she greeted, her voice warm yet probing. "Yeah, life gets busy," I replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. She studied me for a moment before speaking again. "You look different. Is everything okay?" I felt a wave of vulnerability wash over me. How could I explain the chaos in my heart? The betrayal that had unfolded in darkness? "Just a lot on my mind," I managed to say. "Want to talk about it?" she offered gently. I shook my head, unsure if words could capture the complexity of what had happened. "Not really." "All right," she said slowly, but her eyes remained fixed on me as if searching for answers hidden beneath my surface. We exchanged small talk for a few minutes, discussing mundane things like family and work, but every word felt hollow compared to what I had experienced recently. The intimacy we shared during that blackout haunted me still. It clung to me like an unwanted shadow. As our conversation waned, I caught sight of him across the park. My son stood by a food cart, laughing with friends who were oblivious to the weight of our shared secret. My breath hitched at the sight of him. He looked carefree and unburdened by the complexities that enveloped us both. I excused myself from my friend and walked toward him, drawn by an invisible thread that seemed to connect us even from afar. As I approached, his laughter faded into silence. He turned his gaze toward me, and for a moment, we were suspended in time, a world apart from everyone else around us. "Hey," he said casually, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of something deeper. "Hi," I replied softly, feeling both exhilarated and terrified at once. He motioned toward the food cart. "Want something?" "No thanks." My throat felt tight. Words were hard to come by now that we were face to face again. "What's wrong?" he asked suddenly, concern etched across his features. I hesitated before answering. How could I explain this tangled web we found ourselves in? "Just thinking about things." "Like what?" His tone was gentle yet probing, as if he sensed my internal struggle. The air between us thickened with unspoken questions and unshed emotions. "How do you convey feelings so complicated?" Instead of answering directly, I chose silence, a silence that spoke volumes more than words ever could. He stepped closer then. Our proximity sent shockwaves through me, reminders of our night together flooded back uninvited, candlelight flickering against skin and whispers shared under cover of darkness. "We shouldn't," the words slipped out before I could catch them. His brow furrowed slightly as he took another step closer. "Shouldn't what?" I didn't want to say it aloud. The implications felt too heavy, but they hung there between us like a palpable force field. Shouldn't feel this way? Shouldn't have crossed those lines? "It's complicated," was all I managed to say. "I know." His voice dropped lower as if sharing a secret meant only for us. "But it doesn't have to be." In that moment, standing inches apart, I felt every heartbeat echoing through my body like thunder rolling across an endless sky filled with dark clouds threatening rain but unable to release their burden upon the earth below. "I can't keep pretending everything is fine," he said finally after what felt like eternity stretched thin between us, filled only by unsaid thoughts swirling around our heads like autumn leaves caught in wind gusts refusing settle down until winter arrives, sweeping clean away remnants left behind from warmer days gone past. "I don't want you to pretend," I whispered back before quickly glancing away as shame crept into view alongside desire, making their presence known within confines, heart constricted tightly around them, both refusing let go despite knowing full well consequences looming large ahead, waiting just outside edges, comfort zones built over years spent nurturing bonds forged strong enough withstand storms life throws way, yet somehow faltering under pressures unseen until now revealed starkly clear, laying Bare truths previously hidden safe away, locked deep inside heart's longing, connection lost somewhere along journey taken thus far. I should go, he said abruptly, breaking spell cast over us both, leaving only echoes lingering behind in wake, footsteps fading fast away into distance where laughter still rang out bright against backdrop, sun setting low, casting golden hues across horizon, painting picture perfect scene while inside turmoil raged on, unchecked, threatening consume everything left untouched thus far. As he turned away from me, walking back toward friends who remained blissfully unaware, I felt an ache deep within myself, a reminder that some connections come at great cost while others slip through fingers, grasping desperately, trying hold on to something, slipping away faster than time itself can measure, leaving nothing but shadows behind where light once shone brightly, illuminating paths traveled together now diverging into unknown territories, fraught, danger lurking just beyond sight, waiting patiently strike when least expected, forcing decisions made hastily without thought, consequences looming large ahead, casting shadows, hearts burdened, heavy weight, choices made lingering long after lights faded into darkness, enveloping whole world around us last night, leaving indelible mark etched forever deep within soul itself, reminding constantly fragility, love, loyalty, trust built painstakingly over years spent, nurturing bonds forged strong enough withstand storms life throws way, yet somehow faltering under pressures unseen until now revealed starkly clear, laying bare truths previously hidden safe away, locked deep inside heart's longing, connection lost somewhere along journey taken thus far. And just like that, the lightness vanished, leaving only heaviness behind, a reminder looming large above head, casting dark clouds threatening rain while sun continued set beyond horizon, painting picture perfect scene fading fast into night. The festival buzzed with life, vibrant colors painting the streets of Portland, but I felt like a ghost wandering through the throngs of laughter and music. The air was thick with the scent of roasted coffee and sweet pastries, but I barely tasted any of it. My heart weighed heavy as I moved through the crowd, each step echoing the turmoil within me. I had been invited by my husband, who thought this outing might rekindle some spark in our marriage, a notion that seemed laughable now. The joy surrounding me felt like a cruel reminder of what I had lost and what I had gained in the darkness of that blackout. My son had become a part of my life in a way I never anticipated. The intimacy we shared during those stolen moments lingered like an uninvited guest at my heart's table. As I stood by a booth selling handmade jewelry, my eyes wandered over to a nearby park where families gathered, children running about with painted faces. The laughter echoed in my ears, twisting into something painful. Memories of our own family festivals flooded back, my son darting through the crowd, his laughter mingling with mine as we chased after balloons. Those were moments filled with lightness and love, not this suffocating weight that now clung to me. Then I overheard snippets of conversation from two women nearby. "Did you hear about Mark?" one said, her voice laced with concern. "He seems different since that blackout, more withdrawn." My breath caught in my throat. My son's name hung in the air like a specter. Had he shared our secret? Or perhaps he was struggling with feelings he couldn't articulate? The thought sent an icy shiver down my spine. What if he was feeling as lost as I was? I turned away from them, suddenly desperate for fresh air, away from the noise and chatter that felt so distant from my reality. As I walked toward the edge of the park where trees offered shade and solace, I tried to gather my thoughts. But clarity eluded me, guilt twisted around every reflection. I remembered his eyes, the way they sparkled in candlelight during those hours when nothing else mattered but us. It was intoxicating yet terrifying. Each moment together had been both a balm for my loneliness and a dagger to my conscience. "Mom?" The familiar voice cut through my reverie like a knife, and I turned to see him standing there, my son, his expression unreadable against the backdrop of laughter and light. "Hey," I managed to say, forcing a smile that felt foreign on my lips. He stepped closer, his hands shoved deep into his pockets as if shielding himself from something unseen. "You okay? You've been kinda quiet lately." A wave of emotion washed over me at his concern, How could he still care when everything between us had shifted so dramatically? Just thinking, I replied softly. About? He tilted his head slightly, curiosity mixed with something deeper lingering behind his gaze. Life, I said simply, avoiding specifics that would lead us down paths best left unexplored. He nodded slowly but didn't press further. A silence hung between us thick with unspoken words and shared secrets. In that moment, it felt as though we were suspended in time. Everything else faded away until only we existed within our fragile bubble. But then he broke it. I miss those times when we'd just hang out together. His voice was low but earnest. The ache in my chest deepened at his words. How could something so innocent feel so heavy? Me too, I admitted quietly. He looked down for a moment before meeting my gaze again. Do you think things can go back to how they were? My heart stuttered at the question. Could they? Would they ever be able to reclaim that innocence after what transpired between us? The drawing he left behind haunted me, a tangible reminder of intimacy forged in darkness yet tainted by guilt when light returned. I don't know, I finally replied, feeling tears prick at the corners of my eyes, the weight of uncertainty threatening to crush me under its pressure. His expression shifted slightly. There was something vulnerable there, a hint of fear mingled with longing that mirrored my own internal battle. I just want us to be close again, he murmured softly, almost pleadingly. The sincerity in his voice tugged at something deep within me, a yearning for connection amidst chaos, but also sparked fear about where such closeness might lead us once more. I want that too, I whispered back before stepping back slightly as if creating distance would somehow shield us both from temptation's grasp once again. But then came another sound, a burst of laughter nearby drew our attention away momentarily. Families rejoicing at games played under sunlit skies reminded us both how far removed we were from such simplicity now burdened by shadows cast upon our hearts. In an attempt to break free from this spiraling conversation laden with implications unspoken yet felt deeply between us, I turned toward where music played louder than before, beckoning people toward joy rather than despair lingering heavily around us like fog refusing to lift completely no matter how bright daylight shone overhead, illuminating every crevice, hiding darkness beneath its surface, waiting patiently for another chance. Let's go check out the stage, I suggested lightly, trying desperately not let tension linger too long without resolution hanging over our heads, threatening everything we cherished most dearly, held tightly within fragile hearts bound together by love yet tested beyond measure already. He nodded slowly again but didn't move right away, instead watching me closely, searching for answers hidden beneath layers built up over years spent navigating life together, filled laughter, tears shared, triumphs, losses alike woven intricately, forming tapestry depicting journey taken thus far. Just then another wave surged through crowd nearby, catching attention, everyone turning their heads towards commotion unfolding. An announcement rang out, inviting all festival goers towards main event, promising excitement, bringing people together, uniting them momentarily, forgetting burdens carried daily while basking warmth, sunlight shining down upon them, illuminating paths ahead, beckoning hope, renewal, possibility. But even amidst this promise glimmering bright ahead lay shadows lurking, waiting patiently, ready strike again when least expected, forcing choices made hastily without thought, consequences looming large ahead, casting shadows, hearts burdened, heavy weight, choices made lingering long after lights faded into darkness, enveloping whole world around us. The festival buzzed around me, vibrant and alive, yet I remained ensnared in a web of my own making. The laughter of children mingled with the sounds of music, but all I could hear was the echo of my own heart, pounding against the walls of my chest. Each beat reminded me of the drawing he had left behind, a haunting reminder that lingered in my thoughts like an uninvited guest. I wandered through the throngs of people, each face a blur. They were lost in their joy, their connections, unaware of the storm brewing within me. My son's absence felt like a gaping hole in the fabric of this celebration. The warmth of the sun contrasted sharply with the chill that had settled in my soul since that night. As I approached a small booth selling handmade crafts, I caught sight of a familiar figure at the edge of the crowd. My heart raced as I recognized him, my son, standing there with his friends, laughter spilling from his lips like sunshine breaking through clouds. But as quickly as it sparked hope within me, fear swept over like a dark tide. What would he think if he saw me? What would he say? I took a step back into the shadows, feeling invisible yet painfully aware of how visible I truly was. The drawing flashed through my mind again, the way it captured not just our moment but also our shared vulnerability. It felt both beautiful and grotesque now, a relic of something that had spiraled beyond control. "Mom?" A voice broke through my reverie. I turned to see one of his friends standing beside me, concern etched on his face. "Are you okay? You look lost." "I'm fine," I replied too quickly, forcing a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Okay," he said slowly but didn't leave my side. "You sure? You know you can talk to us?" I nodded absently as he walked away to rejoin his friends. Their laughter echoed in my ears, a reminder that life continued on without me while I remained trapped in this limbo between guilt and longing. Suddenly, an unexpected wave of resolve surged through me. I had to confront this head-on before it consumed us both entirely. As if summoned by my thoughts, I spotted him again across the festival grounds, still laughing but now looking more distant than ever. The urge to bridge that gap pulled at me fiercely. I made my way through the crowd toward him, heart pounding with each step. But just as I reached out for him through the sea of strangers, he turned abruptly and walked away from his friends toward an alleyway nestled between two food stalls. Instinctively following him into the shadows felt both reckless and necessary. "Wait." I called out softly but urgently as I entered the narrow space behind the stalls. He paused mid-step and turned around slowly, surprise flickering across his face before it was replaced by something more guarded. "What are you doing here?" His voice was steady but laced with confusion. "I need to talk to you," I said breathlessly as anxiety twisted in my stomach. He crossed his arms defensively and shifted his weight slightly back on his heels. "About what?" "There's nothing to say." "There's everything to say," I insisted softly. "We can't just pretend like nothing happened." His expression hardened for a moment before softening again, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through his facade. "You don't have to worry about it," he replied quietly. "But I do worry," I pressed on gently despite feeling walls rise between us again. What we shared, it meant something. For a heartbeat we stood there in silence, two hearts caught between what society deemed acceptable and what we had discovered together amidst darkness and candlelight. "Mom," his voice trailed off as if struggling against unspoken emotions threatening to spill over into words we weren't ready to face yet. "I don't want to lose you," I confessed finally, my voice barely above a whisper, but laden with truth nonetheless. He stepped closer then hesitated again before speaking. Words hung thickly between us like smoke lingering after fireworks fade away into night sky above our heads, a moment suspended outside time itself where everything felt possible yet impossibly fragile all at once. "We can't go back," he murmured finally after what seemed like an eternity stretched taut around us both, unraveling threads binding mother and son together now fraying dangerously at edges where love met confusion met desire met guilt, all tangled up within complexities neither could fully comprehend nor escape from easily without consequence looming large overhead casting shadows long across paths once traveled freely without hesitation or doubt. Just then something shifted within him, a flicker igniting behind those familiar eyes. Was it regret? Longing? Or perhaps simply fear? And before either one could grasp hold tightly enough or let go completely enough, everything changed again when another figure emerged from shadows unexpectedly interrupting our fragile exchange bringing forth chaos crashing down upon us once more shattering all illusions carefully built around fleeting moments shared beneath candlelight during blackouts. "Hey! There you are!" A loud voice boomed over us startling both into abrupt awareness. harsh light spilling forth illuminating truths once hidden beneath layers carefully crafted by secrecy now exposed raw beneath scrutiny present among others who'd wandered too close unaware danger lurked nearby waiting patiently ready strike when least expected. Forcing choices made hastily without thought consequences looming large ahead casting shadows hearts burdened heavyweight choices made lingering long after lights faded into darkness enveloping whole world around us. In that instant clarity struck harder than any blow could deliver. This encounter wouldn't end well not for anyone involved. Not for him nor for me nor even those watching unaware they stood witness fractured moment unfolding right before their eyes.